me and the stylist, no scam and not style me.
From the market to the farm to the office, money talk is everywhere. But are you making sense or nonsense? The Bank of Jamaica brings you common sense with BOJ. Real stories, real laughs, and real lessons to help you protect, grow, and manage your money. Mattress savings.
At least my mattress. No charge me to sleep on it.
Partner plan.
Remember last year we needed our payouts early? But Miss Pam gave it to her cousin first.
Or a sketchy loan flyer.
Electrifying deals.
See why making the right financial choices is pure common sense. Brought to you by Bank of Jamaica, empowering everyday Jamaicans one episode at a time.
Grandpa, it's 2026. You can't keep hiding all your money in every single pocket forever.
Thanks for joining us for CVM News at Noon. It's Friday, May 15, 2026. I'm Akeem Oret. Up first this afternoon, a pedestrian is now the latest road fatality after a crash along the Rio Nuevo Main Road in St. Mary Thursday night, pushing Jamaica's road debt toll past the 100 mark. The crash happened at about 8:45, involving a silver Toyota Hiace motor truck and a male pedestrian who has since been identified as 28-year-old O'Neill Tavares. Preliminary reports suggest that Tavares may have stepped into the roadway at the time of the collision. Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, says while reaching 100 road deaths later than last year is a positive sign, the figure remains deeply concerning as every road fatality is preventable.
Last night, Jamaica recorded 100 road deaths for 2026. This compared to 100 deaths recorded by April 6 last year and March 20 in 2024. According to the National Road Safety Council's Dr. Paris Leo Ayi. And according to the same source, we are likely to record a 30% decrease this year compared to last year's fatality, which was 374. So we are making some progress, but still a far way to go according to the mandate of the World Health Organization. Important decisions were made which should be announced in due course, including how to deal with a very low use of seatbelts, 20%. The dangerous practice of not wearing a certified helmet, 40%. And the continued excessive speeding on our roads, which is the main reason for the loss of life and injuries. All in an effort to push back even further down the year this announcement of 100 road deaths. And hopefully one day, none at all.
In the meantime, 3 people, including a 4-year-old, were injured in a crash along the Miami Bay Main Road in St. Anne Thursday afternoon. Police say a Kentworth motor truck overturned near the roundabout and crashed onto a Volkswagen Amarok traveling in the same direction. The driver of the Volkswagen, a senior director at Dolphin Cove, her child, and the truck driver were all taken to hospital for treatment as investigations continue. Presiding judge in the Klansman trial, Justice Dale Palmer, is expected to rule on Monday on whether a statement allegedly given by deceased witness Shanice Robinson will be admitted into evidence surrounding the February 7, 2020 killing of a man named Noah Smith. This in the ongoing Klansman trial. Carla Ramdeen was in court and now reports.
The issue arose during Monday's sitting after the prosecution sought to establish a nexus between evidence from 2 witnesses. One witness testified that Shanice Roberts died in 2021, while another, a detective constable, told the court he recorded a statement from a woman identified as Shanice Roberts in 2020 in relation to the murder of Noah Smith. The Crown is attempting to prove that both references are to the same person. In submissions before the court, the prosecution argued that the detective's difficulty identifying Robinson stemmed from the poor quality and distortion of a photograph shown to him, rather than an inability to recognize her. The Crown maintained that the witness's response were conditional and argued that recalling the witness would allow the best evidence to be placed before the court. On Thursday, defense attorney Denise Hinson made a submission on behalf of the defense. Hinson argued that the application, no matter how it is dressed up, amounted to an attempt to recall the witness for, quote, a third bite of the cherry, after the issue had already been properly tested. She noted the Crown chose to leave its identification evidence as it stood. Hinson submitted that the Crown cannot now ask for the witness to be recalled to, quote, shore it up. She further argued that the defense conducted its cross-examination on the basis that the prosecution's case on the issue had already been closed, and warned that recalling the detective constable would give him an opportunity to reconstruct his evidence to better support the Crown's application. Hinson also described the move as an ambush, telling the court that the defense had not been notified beforehand. Justice Palmer is expected to rule on Monday. The matter goes towards counts 15 and 16 in the indictment. The accused affected are Michael Wallman, Jerome Spike, Nashawn Guest, and Giovanni McDonald, who are being tried for knowingly facilitating the commission of robbery and murder of Noah Smith. Carla Ramdeen, CVM News.
In the ongoing issue of the recent audit conducted for the Hurricane Melissa Relief Initiative, Parliamentary Secretary in the Education Ministry and Government, Senator Marlon Morgan, says he's confident that the remaining donations received by the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, were misused. He notes that for those funds to be onboarded for the proper accounting and stewardship to be applied, it has to first be regularized by the Finance Ministry. However, he assures the public that funds contributed by donors to ODPEM will be utilized for its intended projects.
From our donors and, of course, persons who wish Jamaica well will be utilized for the purpose of providing relief and support to our much needed brothers and sisters across Jamaica, particularly out in Western Jamaica, as we reconstruct, as we recover, and as we seek to foster resilience. But separate and apart from that, these funds that have been donated and they came in initially into ODPEM's accounts, there is a regularization process that has to ensue because the government of Jamaica has to now onboard those funds and treat them as though they were Jody and Forrest tax and Marlon Morgan's tax dollars. So the important shelter recovery activities, particularly the modular housing solutions, we have heard that work is underway, and I believe the timeline I heard from Commander Gale elsewhere in media was in the order of the coming weeks into a 6-month period. So that is happening in real time. I would trust that we will continue to provide value for money and faithful stewardship for both government funds and donor-related funds that have come in.
Commanding officer for the parish of Hanover, Superintendent Andrew Nish, says the police continue to face serious crime challenges within the Sandy Bay Policing Division, despite a 16% reduction in major crimes across the parish since 2026. Speaking at Thursday's monthly meeting of the Hanover Municipal Corporation, Superintendent Nish says a recently imposed 2-week curfew in sections of Sandy Bay has now been lifted. He notes that the police have been seeing a pattern of interpersonal conflicts within the community, which often result in violence within the Sandy Bay space. Superintendent Nish says community intervention and strategic policing are among the measures now being used to tackle crime in the area. He also reported a slight increase in murders across the parish since 2026. The Hanover Health Department says the risk of hantavirus spreading in Jamaica is very low, as the rodents linked to the virus are not found on the island. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Antique Anderson-Levine also says no cases of the virus have been recorded in Jamaica, but notes that persons arriving from affected countries will be isolated and investigated if necessary. Opposition spokesperson for Social Protection and Social Transformation, Dr. Angela Brown-Burke, is calling out the government's disaster response, labeling it as a crisis in leadership at the highest level. Expressing shock and disappointment, she reveals that an astounding gap in the system has left less than 2% of the collected Hurricane Melissa funds spent. Dr. Brownberg claims the system was blocked from working because defeated former Member of Parliament were put in charge of the supplies. And we take a break here inside CVM News at Noon. Do stay with us.
Employers, once a month, you have the power to shape Jamaica's future. By paying your hard 3% contribution, you're not just contributing, you're investing in people, in skills, in our economy. Your hard contribution trains working-age Jamaicans, aligns programs with workforce needs, and secures our future. That's not just contribution, it's transformation. Contribute to heart and to your future.
Watagwan.
Watagwan.
Datagwan pa.
Watagwan. Watagwan.
Watagwan. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
What is the Popeyes Challenge Cup? The Popeyes Challenge Cup is Jamaica's newest and boldest football competition, featuring David versus Goliath matchups as the best in the country's club football take on those in the second tier of club football. It's a straight knockout competition featuring 25 teams, 7 from the Jamaica Premier League and 18 from the Jamaica Football Championship, the second tier. The 7 JPL teams are invited and are ranked based on their finish in the current season, as they will not enter the competition until after being eliminated from the JPL playoffs. The JFC team seedings are determined based on their rankings in the league as at May 2. Teams will battle it out over 6 rounds to determine the winner. So how does it work? Round 1, the play-in, will feature 14 teams, all from the Jamaica Football Championship. Pot 1 will have 5th to 10th place teams, and Pot 2 will have teams seeded 11th to 18th. Round 2 will have 8 JFC teams, the 7 Round 1 winners, and the 4th ranked JFC team. Pot 1 will have the top 4 ranked JFC teams, and Pot 2 will have the next 4 remaining teams. Round 3 features 6 JFC teams, 4 winners from Round 2, and the 2nd and 3rd place teams, and 6 JPL teams will enter the competition, excluding the JPL champion. Pot 1 will have the top 3 ranked from both JPL and JFC, and Pot 2 will have the others. The next round is the quarterfinals, featuring the 6 winners from Round 3, the JPL champion, and the 1st place from the JFC. It will be a random draw with no pots. Teams then proceed to the semi-finals and the final. Each team will get prize money based on how far they advance in the tournament. A total of $4.75 million in prize money will be paid out, with the winning team taking home $1 million. There's also a $50,000 purse for the top goal scorer and the winning coach. Get ready for the newest and boldest club football competition in Jamaica. This is David versus Goliath. This is the Popeyes Challenge Cup on CVM TV.
Welcome back to CVM News at Noon. Controversy has begun to stir regarding the silencing of the use of patois to introduce the speech of Member of Parliament for St. James Southern, Nikisha Burchell, during this week's sitting of the House. She was silenced by the Speaker of the House and alerted that her speech opening was in violation of Order 6 of the Standing Orders of the House of Representatives, which reads, quote, "The proceedings and debates of the House shall be in the English language. Every petition shall be in the English language." Here to discuss the importance of this is a political analyst in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Dr. Nadine Spence, and will be later joined by language education specialist in Creole Studies, Curriculum Development, Dr. Nicole Scott. Good afternoon, Dr. Spence. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, but I'm not from the ministry.
Okay. So, Firstly, what do you think the South St. James MP was trying to achieve by opening her speech in Patois?
Well, there are several things. I think, to be honest, the PNP is testing the speaker. I cannot believe that the member would not have read the standing orders and would not have known that Standing Order 6 says that when a member of the House speaks, they must speak in standard English. Or if she was ignorant of the rules, it doesn't speak well for her knowledge of the procedures of Parliament. So I'm assuming that she read the rules and she was just testing the speaker, as I think members of the opposition are just seeking to test her and make her service difficult.
So historically, though, how has language been regulated in Parliament, and what precedent exists for enforcing such rules?
Well, I think we have historically, or even outside of Parliament, we have a very testy experience with language in Jamaica, and rightly so, because the history of using English language as our formal language does not give enough, I think, respect and precedent to the fact that as people who came from another place to get here, we spoke another language or other languages, that our history is one of diverse languages, but because those languages emerged out of African history and African traditions, there's a way in which the history that has crafted this region seeks to invalidate the languages that have contributed to the culture of Jamaica. And we know the unending conversations that we've had about the value of Jamaican language, about the value of Jamaican when we speak, the kind of assumptions we make about people who speak Jamaican and so on. So I think there is a way in which we shouldn't be surprised that a formal speaking opportunity such as Parliament, or speaking reality such as Parliament, is going to reinforce the idea that English language should be our formal way to speak. But as well to note that we have not officially recognized our language as an official language, even though we know that most Jamaicans speak Jamaican. There is still a way in which we do not see the language that we speak as language. You know, we think it's broken English, and there's a value that we attach to people who speak the language, who speak Jamaican language and who do not have access to English.
So should rules like Standing Order 6 be applied rigidly, or is there room for interpretation when cultural expression is involved?
I don't know that we can say that should it be applied rigidly. That's what is not how I would want to state it. What I would say is, the question I would want to answer is, do we need to reform the standing orders? Do we need to Jamaicanize them? Do we need to make them relevant for a modern Jamaica? And I would say yes. But do we do it, when is that done? What is the procedure for that? And if we agree that there's a process to reforming the standing orders and to ensuring that the standing order recognizes the value of Jamaican language, what is that process? And how do we ask our leaders to engage that process so that all that we are as a people, how we speak and how we are, our cultural realities, can also be reflected in the Parliament? I don't think we should ask the Speaker to set a precedent by choosing to interpret some of the standing orders one way, because that is going to be even more difficult for her when she seeks to reinforce other standing orders. Clearly there is a need for reform, and we need to pursue that process.
So we have with us, Dr. Nicole Scott. So, Ms. Scott, how does the restriction of patois in Parliament risk silencing cultural identity?
It does. Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. The censorship is not what we need right now. When I heard the debate, I wondered, why are we here in 2026? And I recognize that even though there has been much work by, say, the Jamaican Language Unit to get correct information out there about what patois is, there is still a lot of work to be done. So when I listened to the clip, I heard broken English, you know, when there is a lot of research that says that Jamaican Creole is a separate language from English, though it has predominantly English words, but the structures are different. So more education is needed. People are saying there is no writing system. When a writing system, a standardized writing system, has been developed, it was developed as early as 2002. So there's a lot of misinformation. So we have to decide what we want. If we want Jamaicans to understand issues that are being discussed, issues that are about Jamaicans, that are going to affect them, then why not amend the standing orders so that you can serve that end? So the standing orders right now are what they are. But if we're so passionate about people understanding and representing our culture, then maybe the politicians should encourage the changing of the standing orders.
So I want to hear from you quickly before we go. Does banning patois undermine equal representation for citizens who primarily speak it? First from you, Dr. Scott, and then Dr. Nadine Spence.
Yes, it does. We don't want a situation where the majority of the population cannot participate actively in issues that affect them in the long run. So we don't need the censorship. So the speaker upheld the standing order, and that is okay, because the order is the order. But the speaker also is not just there to reprimand, but to guide. So there could have been a situation where the reminder is issued, but you hear, would you like to request the suspension of the standing order for part or all of the presentations? Just another point too, quickly, that during the presentation, she actually, member actually used Creole, used patois after the reprimand. And nobody blinked an eye because it was done predominantly in an English structure. So it is the sustained use of patois that people have a problem with, not if it is mixed as it is usually done in Parliament. So we have to decide what we want.
Dr.
But
Spence.
silencing is not recommended, no.
I think what we need to do is ask for the reform of the standing orders that no longer serve us in Jamaica to 2026, and in a Jamaica where we are seeking to claim our sovereign right, including the way we speak and access to our language. I think it is fair to say that the current debate should also be properly located in this question of reform of our rules and our laws and our constitution to meet the needs of a modern Jamaica.
So in about 30 seconds from, the two of you, how do other multilingual societies handle indigenous or non-standard languages in their legislatures?
But Jamaica doesn't officially recognize Jamaican. That's the other thing, that Jamaica itself does not officially recognize that we have a unique language called the Jamaican language. We don't. So perhaps one of the things we also should have a conversation about is what is the process for ensuring that the language that Jamaicans speak primarily, most Jamaicans speak, is honored and recognized as one of the official languages of Jamaica. That is now not the case currently. So in other spaces where this conversation happens, there is a concerted effort to ensure that there is widespread participation in processes of governance and leadership, and that this is done by the recognition of people's Language.
Dr. Scott, let's hear from you.
Yes, I agree. I I agree with that. So until we come to a position where we reopen the debate about making patois core